Hello, welcome everyone. This is Anurag, your host. I'm back with a new guest, Amy McGraw. Amy is based in South Florida. Yeah, that's Amy waving her hand. She's a friend, a mentor. The laundry list continues. We can just talk about who she is to me after that. So, who is Amy? Amy is the Vice President and Chief Experience Officer of Tropical Financial Credit Union, one of the largest credit unions in South Florida. She has been highly successful in developing innovative marketing plans using data and AI at the center stage. And her key is very simple: deliver hyper personalized omnichannel experiences for consumers around South Florida. So that's her specialty when she wears the hat of a marketing specialist. When she thinks about experience of members, she leads the entire experience charter for the credit unions. She being a CXO, her main role is she loves mapping, I would say, consumer journeys, member journeys, to identify and I would say resolve gaps in services to create frictionless, again, omnichannel experiences within the credit union, right? But all focusing on member centricity. That is the key which she focuses on, being a credit union leader. Now, personally, who Amy is? Amy is mother to four kids. She has five grandkids. Amy, I think one of them is on the way, right? So
Right.
it's like five plus one, six.
Wow.
Along with that, Amy is mother to three dogs. One of Dexter should be around there.
Yes, I have Dexter. He was finally quiet. Wait, come here. Here's his
Let's say
big
hi to Dexter.
debut.
Hey, wow. Whom do we have now?
This is Mr. Dexter Morgan. Yes, I named my dog after a serial killer. Mr. Dexter Morgan is also has a role here at Tropical Financial. He is known as the financial Frenchie, and he has superpowers to help people understand their finances.
Right.
So this is the financial Frenchie of South Florida, Mr. Dexter Morgan.
Hello, Mr. Dexter. Good to meet you, sir.
Yes, he comes to
Oh,
work quite often with me.
absolutely. Great, yeah. So I don't know if I did a fair enough justice to her introduction, Amy. That like goes into pages. She has a bunch of other introductions that I can do. She was in the league of Southeastern Credit Union, board chapter. She was in a bunch of other committees of CUNA, right? And she's a marketing, I would say, leader, not a leader, someone who's passionate about marketing, passionate about using data to improve member experiences. I mean, I might sound as a broken record, but this is exactly whom she is, and she's really passionate about what she does. Maybe I'll take a pause. You know, I talk a lot, you talk a lot, so I'll take a pause. Otherwise, it'll be a one-way communication.
Well, I'll tell you, I, when I was a kid, I remember my mother always telling me, find something that you really love to do, because if you love what you're doing, you'll never work a day in your life. And I really feel blessed that even though I've had two different careers, that both of them have been along the lines of never having to work a day in my life. I've loved both of the careers I have done. I will say the previous one, which was in television, it pulled me away from my family. I literally missed first words and first steps because I was working in TV. I actually worked as a sports producer. And when do sports happen? Nights, weekends, and holidays. When are kids home? Nights, weekends, and holidays. So I really did miss a lot with my family, and that's why I made the conscious decision to actually leave the television industry and seek out something where I could be creative, but at the same time be home with my family. And I have to say, with Tropical Financial, I have found that exact home I wish I'd known about 20 years ago. I've been here 12, but I wish I'd been here a lot longer, because the culture here really is family comes first. And we think of our members as an extension of our family as well. And that is sort of what credit unions are about, right? We are the foundation of people helping people. What's been really hard the last 10, 15 years is, as this migration of banking services moved from personal to digital, how do you keep that humanity, that human touch in people helping people in a digital space? That has been my challenge since the day I got here, and that is what I love doing.
Absolutely. I mean, gentlemen, she's one of the, I would say, most passionate credit union leaders I've ever met. In the last 1 year, I've met at least 200 of them. But she's one of the most passionate. That's the reason I invited her to my podcast, and she's agreed to be one of my guests. Amy, thanks for that. Appreciate all your
Absolutely.
help. All right. Cool. Now I'll ask you some difficult, not so difficult questions. The first question is that you've been a leader for like decades now, right? So what is leadership to you? How do you define leadership?
I think that is, I don't have a quick, snappy answer like I did for what is work. But I will tell you that it's something that has evolved over time. As I've grown as a professional, as a worker, as a human being, my definition of leadership has definitely evolved. I used to be under that mindset of if you want something done right, do it yourself, and always like questioning whether or not I could do something better than one of my employees. And you can imagine how long that lasted, because that was a really bad way to manage other people. Instead, what I've learned is I tell all my employees now that failure, they need to embrace failure. Failure is not a bad thing. Failure is how we learn. Failure is how we grow. But fail fast, learn, move on.
Absolutely.
But I never ask anything of any of my employees that I wouldn't be willing to do myself. And I see a lot of managers that operate opposite of that. They feel like they're above doing certain tasks. And that's what I call those managers. They're not leaders. And that's another thing about Tropical Financial. We have a culture of coaching here. Coaching is incredibly important. There are times when I feel like it's more like collaboration, but it's an important one-on-one time that I have with every single one of my employees, including the downline, that I'm able to connect with them and find out what are the roadblocks, what are the opportunities, what have they done great that they're really proud of, all those little points. And I have learned from my employees as much as I hope that they are learning from me. And that's another mark of I feel of a great leader, is being open to advice, thoughts, ideas from others, and giving that credit to those others as well. I'm a Gen Xer, and I'm at the other end of Gen X in terms of I am closer to boomers than I am to millennials.
Yep.
It's a very different mindset of working, of banking, of just plain living than it was in my generation, than it was in my parents' generation, than it was in my husband's generation. He's a boomer. And it's really important to understand these nuances and these changes, and to be able to pull the best out of somebody, you've got to give them that freedom to be who they are, and in whatever element that may be. After COVID happened, I kind of called it a blessing in disguise, in that it forced some old time management thought processes to be redefined. And I think it also positioned all of us as humans to redefine everything that we do, not just in terms of working from home or working out from home, whatever it was that we had to change thanks to the pandemic. It really did open up the blinders that so many of us had on of how to do things to new and different ways. And I really do feel that again is a mark of a leader, to understand that going backwards is not an option. Going back to the way things were before the pandemic, or back to the way we did it when our generation, or boomers, or traditionalists before, we're never going to go backwards, and we need to continue to lean into that, to move forward, and to learn from our employees as much as we teach them.
Absolutely.
That's a really long-winded answer for a short question.
But this is so relevant, right? I mean, you touched upon so many points. So a few days back, I was just listening to this small video clip about Steve Jobs. So what he talks about, that how did Apple become Apple, right? So they did an experimentation of hiring those traditional managers out there, professional managers, to come and manage. So the response he had, that yes, these guys could manage but could never get the work done, right? That's the biggest problem. So what even Steve Jobs believed, that the most efficient managers are individual contributors. If you can go get shit done, right?
Yep.
That's the most important thing. You stand for something, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, this absolutely echoes to even what you think about across the horizon. But yeah, it was a well scripted answer, Amy. I know it's impromptu, but it sounded like it was very well scripted. Very.
Not at all. You know, the thing that's interesting too is we all have heard of micromanagers, and it's not good to
I
micromanage
hate it.
things or people especially. I kind of look at myself as sort of a macro manager in terms of, and I always tell my team this: look, I know where we are. We're
Absolutely.
here, and I know where we need to get to. We need to get to here, and we need to get to here by this date. I don't care how you get there. I don't care if it
Exactly.
takes you whatever, as long as you get there and you learn something along the way. With check-ins, and that's why we do these coaching and collaboration sessions. What are those check-ins? What are the roadblocks you're running into? That's part
Exactly.
of my job, is to tear down those roadblocks so that they can move on, be free and learn and grow as they do
Exactly.
it.
I
So
mean,
I'm a macro manager.
that should be right. I mean, setting up those traditional status calls, I hate them. They don't make sense to me. But yeah, if you can, someone who can go get roadblocks cleared, welcome. Right?
Yeah.
That's the way. Even I mean, I'm a millennial, so I call myself a zillennial because not Gen Z, but on the on the starting end of millennial. So as a zillennial, I can tell you the same thing. We don't want to be micromanaged. If we are micromanaged, we lib the place, right? As simple as that.
Right. No, no, no. And I think that's another thing too. I had one employee back in 2012 that was a millennial. And she was just out of college. She knew nothing about banking whatsoever. And the whole reason we hired her was to be a spokesperson, spokester is what we called her,
Yeah.
for that particular age. But she said, I know nothing about banking. I said, I know. And what you're going to do is tell the story as you learn and go along, along the way. And she said, okay, well, to be honest, I write, because she was doing a lot of blogs at the time. She said, I do my best writing at 3 a.m. I said, I don't care. That's fine. You don't have to be in the office to do your job. She was like one of the first employees that was
Remote.
really remote, because that's when she did her best work between the hours of like midnight and 3
When that
a.m.
exactly right.
As long as she produced, that was all.
That's who we are. Absolutely cool.
And actually, the cool story, end of that story, is that she now has, she's on her second home that she bought, and she even says, I never would have been able to do this. I never would have been able to know how to save for a down payment and how the whole mortgage process worked if I hadn't worked for Tropical and learned and shared my knowledge as I went along. And I'm just so proud of her now.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a journey to talk about, right? I mean,
Yep.
when you see a kid growing up, like I grew up.
Yep.
That's great. Okay, so one follow-up question to that. Obviously, might not be very comfortable, but still, I want your opinion on this, right? You being a you being a female leader, Amy, across so many years, right? Any challenges? I mean, what are the typical set of challenges that you've faced, right, across your career? One, and second, what are your lessons for someone like a 24 or 25 or 28ish who wants to start their career in a credit union or are in the mid-management level who want to go higher up in the echelon? So what is your advice to a 25-year-old Amy on the journey?
Well, I will tell you, working for credit unions has a lot more opportunity for women than working as a female live sports producer. You want to talk about male-dominated industry. That was really hard. I always ran into the, how would you know you never played the game type of mentality. It doesn't matter that I grew up around sports. It didn't matter that I played sports in high school and a little bit in college. It doesn't matter because I was always going to be seen as a lesser, and it was something I faced every single day. And honestly, the only thing I can tell you in terms of that particular situation was I just did my job and I proved them wrong. I had a media teacher in high school that basically said, as a woman, you're going to have more roadblocks in this industry than a guy. It just is. It's just going to be that way. Your job is to never, ever, ever let somebody tell you you can't do something. And you know what? A lot of times I use that as my reason to show them I could. I kept that same mentality throughout my entire career. And what it means is you just never allow them. And
Yeah.
when I say allow them, talking about any. It doesn't have to be necessarily a man. It could be another woman who's just trying to keep you
Anyone.
down. You never allow them to say, "Baby sits in the corner." There I am pulling something movie line out from "Baby never sits in the corner."
Never sits.
No, you have to be able to use your voice. You have to
Absolutely.
be able to use your intelligence. Um, there's always, and this is true for anybody, man, woman, whatever. You have to know when is the appropriate time to raise that voice, and I don't mean raise as in yell, but to be vocal about something. And when
Yep.
is the time to not say something? I mean,
Yeah.
there are times for that for everybody, right? But
Absolutely.
also for women, we have this terrible thing of um, we're looked at as being aggressive and instead of assertive. And there's a difference between aggressive and assertive. And I think that it just is sort of a label it's been placed on me many times, even in the credit union business. And I always call it out. And I always, if somebody says to my face, you're acting pretty aggressive right now, I immediately say, is that aggressive or am I being assertive? And it usually stops them pretty darn quick. Because I'm fine for being called out. If I'm being
It doesn't
inappropriate,
even matter.
call me out. That's fine. I deserve it, whatever.
Exactly.
But understand that language matters and words matter. So, it isn't always easy, but at the same time, again, I've always used it as fuel for growth. Because once you stop growing and learning, you might
Yeah.
as well just kick it. It's just, there's a whole jump in it. Because as human beings, we need to continue to move. We're like sharks, we have to keep moving. We stop
Absolutely.
moving, we literally die. That's part of growing and learning. And even now, I'm 57 years old. I don't mind saying it. I'm a grandma and proud of it. Um, I have I've learned more from a 28-year-old subordinate in terms of she is a manager that reported to me. But I learned more from her in terms of dealing with people and my
Yeah.
own style than I ever learned from, somebody who was a lot older than I am. And a lot of that is because that age group is not afraid of saying, calling it out. I always used to joke about, it's the one who stands in the crowd and said, "Hey, why isn't the emperor wearing any clothing?" It's like, there it is. Call it out where it is. Because if it's not called out, how do we learn from it? How do we grow? So it's not easy, but I think that it's not just being a woman. There are other groups that also face challenges in the workplace, and I think it just is something we just have to learn, grow, and stand our ground of who we are and be proud of it.
I think, Amy, for leaders like you, right? I mean, our generation, be it millennials or Gen Zs, we get that headroom, we get that space to go and experiment, because you trust in us that yes, these are the young kids who will go and change how things are right now. They'll break the status quo. So yeah, thanks a lot for
Well, interestingly, millennials, your attention span apparently is 12 seconds. But
less
then
than
you
that.
get Gen Z, it's 8 seconds. Well, you're right in between, so you're closer to. I'm like, wow, a goldfish has a longer attention span. But you know what? It really is important because
Yeah.
you also, this is another thing about me.
Yes.
I love change. I don't know if you've ever done predictive index, those personality type tests.
Yeah.
I score as maverick in terms of innovation and change. I am off the scale. I'm like at the very edge of that circle. I'm considered a maverick.
Yeah.
I love change. I love agility. I love being able to move quick. It's one of the reasons I love working for credit unions because they're
Yeah.
smaller. They're not the Titanic. They can move
Exactly.
and shift
Yeah.
quicker than a big mega bank can. But you have, in this day and age, if you want to be able to serve the needs and wants of the next generation that has that attention span that is only diminishing, you need to be able to change and move and grow and be agile and embrace change and not be afraid of it. And that is one thing I've been very blessed with in terms of my own personality is I embrace change. I love it. I get excited by it. I love innovation.
Yes.
And that's the thing that meshes with Gen Zs because they want to innovate. They want to reinvent. They want
Exactly.
different. So another thing I just learned today is this whole idea of emotional banking. They want that emotional support in what they do to be able to understand finances because this particular generation is financially maturing faster than any other generation before. And we need to, as credit unions and credit union leaders, we need to be able to support that and also nurture it. Yeah, I
Yep.
love the idea of being able to help people with their finances. We have a program called Get Beyond Money, and
Yep.
we started in 2019. And it's all about feeling good about banking. It's
Mhm.
about not letting the stressful subject of money keep you from the what's important in your life. Money shouldn't be the central all
Yes.
end all my attention, all my stress, all my anxiety. It
Yep.
should just be a conduit. It should be the thing that gets you from here to there, but not the thing you have to focus on. And that's what Get Beyond Money is all about, helping people get beyond the everyday stress of money so they can focus on family and other things that are important in their lives.
Absolutely. I think, broad nuggets. Financial wellness plus I think credit unions thinking about actually getting Gen Zs and millennials as their consumers, right? And just not focusing
Art.
on the other generation. I think that's also a huge interest for you, Amy. How do you go and reinvent the ecosystem? How do you actually get people like me or my girlfriend or everyone come to you and bank with you, right? So that's something it's of unique interest to you. Absolutely. In the interest of time, I'll keep it short. Few more questions, I promise. So, I've heard a lot about your experience at Tropical Financial over drinks, outside drinks. You just love that place. You just embody this credit union. You just love everything about it. So, what is so unique and interesting about Tropical that keeps you going every single day, waking up in the morning?
I have a funny thing about me. I get bored very quickly at that Maverick thing. I have never worked any place longer than 5 years because I get bored. I
Yeah.
have stayed at Tropical Financial. I'm here for 12 years. This is my 13th year. I am still here for one reason, and that is, well, two reasons. A, the culture. The culture of this place supports family comes first, supports the employee and the employee well-being. And the second thing is, this is a credit union that innovates. This is a credit union that isn't afraid of reinventing the idea of banking so that we can be positioned to serve Gen Z and whatever comes after Gen Z and whatever comes after that. This credit union was built in 1935. It's the second oldest credit union in the state of Florida. We're going to be 90 next year. You don't get to be that age without being able to change and innovate to be able to serve
Yes.
the membership, your field of membership, in whatever way they want and need to be served. So that's why I
Absolutely.
love this place. The leadership is fantastic. We do something with all of our new employees every single month. All the new employees come together for a day of just learning about the culture, and that kicks off in the morning with every single senior leader, and we all sit around a table. And on the other side of the table are the new employees, and this includes our CEO. Every single one of those new employees have always said this has never happened any other place I've worked where
It
they
doesn't
actually
matter.
meet the CEO. But then after a few minutes, we the senior leaders, we stand up and move to the next group. We don't make them do it. We do it. We get up and move, and we introduce ourselves. We talk about them. We talk about their lives. We talk about just getting to know who they are as human beings. It's a big part
That's
of the culture of this place. It
that's
isn't just, there aren't these doors that are closed at all times. Anybody can walk down to the senior leaders and present an idea, and we want them to feel comfortable doing just that. So you can say you have an open door policy, but until you're willing to actually meet with the CEO, meet with the teller, and ask them questions about their lives and show that they truly do care about that particular person, that's a true open door policy.
That's so unique. I've never ever heard ever that leadership sitting on one side of the table and newcomers on the other side. I can't even just imagine that actually can happen, right? But yeah, very similar to the credit union culture. Another reason, very similar to me, right? I have not been at a place for long years, but I'm at EXL for still 3+ years, right? And I love being here, and I would continue to to work for this firm. The same thing is transparency, right? It's a policy that I can go and knock the door of a CEO and talk to him. It's as transparent as that, right? So that keeps me keeps me moving. Yeah, that's great. One question again, right? So if I ask you what is your one crazy wild dream that you have, right? Do you want to share that dream of
I
yours?
do. I do. I have one dream I have been working on finding a way to do for over a decade. And that is create a niche credit union, neobank, whatever you want to call them, for dog owners. And it specifically would be catering to everybody who owns a dog. I mean, I can't even tell you the number of times I actually used to work at a vet clinic when I was in high school. And people would come in and they'd have emergencies and they literally would have to choose between, making a car payment or saving their dog's life. And, yeah, there's care credit out there. Okay, that's one thing for one, moment in time. But wouldn't it be amazing if your financial institution was right there for you and had specific loans specifically for emergencies like that? And
Yes.
or the credit unions are very community oriented, right? They're very giving back into the membership, into the communities that they serve. But with the dog credit union, it'd be the same thing, but it would all be like Humane Society, ASPCA. That would be the give back type of a thing. Yes, we have little giveaways. We're at events and we do things and we give away. And what if those giveaway things were things that all revolved around your dog, like this particular dog water bottle that is specifically for dogs, or that you buy a car and instead of getting a keychain, you get a dog safety belt because that's important is to make
Yeah,
sure you keep your
exactly.
dog safe too. Or when we're talking about mortgages, we're not talking about them in terms of being in with a great school system. We're talking it has a great dog park, or that it has a doggy gate, or it has a fenced-in backyard, including a doghouse, and that's the gift we give you is a new doghouse. I don't know. I'm just sort of spitballing here. My point is that credit unions were sort of created. See, he's all excited too. I don't know if you can hear him, but he is all excited
I
about the
can
idea.
I can show him something. So I got something for Amy, Amy, which I haven't sent you yet. So this is for you.
Oh my God, I love it! Are you kidding me right now?
Yes, I got this for you a
That
month
is
ago. I need to
awesome!
send you that.
Dogs
Yes.
of New York. I love
Yes.
it. Mwah. Dexter loves it too. So, but here's the other thing: is that with dogs, you want to talk about an affinity.
Yep.
Everybody who owns a dog, I guarantee you, there is a language, a love language with pet owners and dog owners that people who don't have pets, they just don't understand.
Yeah.
But
I
we
agree.
do. And that understanding and that engagement and that emotional bond with your financial institution all around dogs, that I think would be such a unique experience. Yes, we do all the same things that, let's face it, banks and credit unions pretty much use all the same products, but it's the reinvention of how you do those products and what you do. Instead
Exactly.
of, cash back rewards, you could get cash back to you and half of it going to the Humane Society. Or so, again, I'm coming up with these as I'm sitting here. The point is that has been my dream, is to have an institution where dogs are not only welcome, but
Yes.
they are the center of everything that we would be doing. So,
Absolutely.
and I want to call
I'm
it
with you.
Four Paws.
Four pos- I'm with you
And it'd be
on the
FOR.
idea.
Four
Absolutely.
Paws Credit Union. Someday.
That's quite an encouraging dream, and Amy, I'm always there with you on that idea, right?
I know, I know.
I'm always.
That's what connected you and I in the
That's
first
what
place.
connected me and you long time back. That what is the commonality between us? Yes. Now selfishly, one question from dogs to data. So I mean, from D to D.
Okay.
So how do you use data and AI? I mean, currently, how do you use data and AI to improve member experience? And what is your vision, of using AI and analytics to improve experience, make it more personalized, make it
Yeah.
more suitable for members?
I think that it is definitely the only way that we're going to survive is being able to use data in a really smart way for personalization. And so often, I think there's a big misunderstanding, especially with younger marketers, about personalization. And they think that if they're adding somebody's first name in an email, that they've personalized it. It
Okay.
isn't the name. Yeah, that's important, and that's something that have been happening in the last 20 years. It's really using what you know about that person, how
Yes.
they've engaged with the credit union, the products and services that they have, some behavioral information, to really formulate what content and what what you're trying to give to them next, basically. And I think that personalization needs to really be the people need to be able to get the information when they want it, when they need it, and in the way they want it. If they want to consume in video, you better have video available for them, and it better
Exactly.
give them the information they're looking for. And if they consume via blogs or through the written word, then you
Get them
better
that.
be able to give it to them that way. Perhaps it's all visualization, so they want photographs. One of the things we started doing with our pearls, because every one of our members has their own pearl, their own web page, and all the content on that web page is curated for them. It is based on a lot of AI modeling as well as different products and services they currently have with us.
Exactly.
And it's all education based. There's no selling, there's no pushing. We don't product push
Exactly.
here, we educate.
Exactly.
And once they if they decide that they want, let's say, an auto loan, because all the content has been around how to avoid getting taken at the dealership or leases versus buying and et cetera, then all that content drops off. And the next content would be all about whatever the next thing is. If they have a tremendous amount of money in their savings account, perhaps it's introducing them to investment services, or perhaps it's about saving for a down payment on a home and all that goes into that mortgage process, which can be a
Yes.
very scary process. It is all about breaking it down into bite-sized pieces so that it can be consumed the way they want to consume it. Even the photographs that we use on the pearls. If you are my age, I'm not going to see a bunch of 20-somethings on a beach playing around with drinking drinks,
Yeah.
And you're not going to see a 50 or 60-year-old person with their grandkids running around. The graphics are all age-based in addition to the content. And that has made we've even done
Huge.
surveys on the pearls that kind of tell us where they are in their life. That can also help dictate what that content is. We even ask if they have a dog or a cat or whatever, if they have an animal, so that we can start putting more of those particular dogs, cats, whatever it is that they say, into those pictures. So I
Exactly.
think it's being able to speak to somebody on their level and about the things they want to talk about, and to make them really not only feel, because feeling is so important and emotions are so important, but believe and trust that their financial institution actually cares about what they're doing. And as a not-for-profit financial institution, we're in a position to actually care about what is happening with them and what they're doing and what kinds of decisions they're making, and that those decisions are best for them. That's what I love about the idea of using data and personalization, is it puts us in a position to be there and keep people helping people and keep
Exactly.
humanity in a digital space.
That is such a well organized answer, Amy. I mean, there are a couple of terms: next best offer and next best action. I hate the term next best offer. You should have next best action for your members. What we talked about is not even personalization. That's hyper personalization, right? Showing someone a dog owner a picture of a dog, plus combining their age. Just think about the amount of personalization that you can do, followed by what channel does the member wants to go and communicate with you, what time of the day, what product. So these personalizations can lead to n number of level. But yeah, I'm so glad that Tropical is actually thinking about it and has a visionary leader like you who thinks about personalization is a key for not only engaging with current members, but for getting prospects like me to come and still open a checking account with you and be relevant, right? So that's fantastic. I won't take much of your time. I know you have to jump on the next meeting, but this was amazing, Amy. We talked, for everyone, a quick recap. We talked about Amy's journey. We talked a lot about using data analytics. We talked about this gentleman also,
Mr. Dexter Morgan.
Mr. Dexter Morgan. Yes, we talked about him, his brothers and sisters. We talked about that entire family. But yes, I would like to conclude this episode with one takeaway, that yes, Amy is one of the very few leaders who believes in using digital data for personalization, for taking the credit union movement the next step. Not letting it die down, but going and challenging the ecosystem, right? That you have to go better yourself. Yeah. So Amy, thanks a lot for your time today. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great
Thank
one.
you.